talking about edge of comfort, let's go to meditation, right? Because meditation, here's the funny part about meditation. And I saw a video and then this guy said that and I was like, damn it, he's right. He said that, and I can't remember, I think it was, who's the guy, Joe Dispenza?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, I have a lot of people complain to me that every time I sit down to meditate, I can't get in the zone and I can't start meditating. And so I just stop. And he's like, well, no, you're meditating. That's meditation. You're just letting things pass by. He's like, no, that's good meditation. There is no silence. If you had total silence, meditation would be useless to you. So then actually, if you close your eyes, start breathing, and you're very uncomfortable and you can't get thoughts out of your head and whatever, you're meditating.
You're meditating. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Because the whole point of it is to get still.
That's it.
Because you can't hear anything other than what's already regurgitating in your own thoughts. So,
which is a process.
Which brings us back to the higher vantage point. It's like spirit. I wish the spirit.
Yeah.
It's true. Because the meditation is what helps us actually change the dial of our listening, because listening itself is a frequency. You're on a channel. Listening. Because whether we understand this or not, or whether we want to accept or believe this or not, our thoughts, our mind is connected to a collective mind, and it's also connected to the atmospheres of influence. And whether you choose to see that this is a reality or not, there's a spiritual realm
component of that.
A very influential spiritual realm that is constantly bombarding our atmosphere, our collective consciousness. I'm name dropping these because it is important for people to know these terms, because these are the terms that if you do start to relate or at least become associated to these terms, you're going to find more value in what you research. You're going to find more, you're going to find that your mind is going to open up in a beneficial way if you do start to relate to things like consciousness or expanded consciousness or spiritual realm. These things, because they exist, whether you see them or not. And you are suffering, I suffered because I lack the knowledge of these things. We suffer because we lack spiritual knowledge. So even if we're uncomfortable because we don't have a association, I never grew up with it, nobody taught me these things, it doesn't matter. If you do find that these words are over your head, or maybe you don't actually have like a full definition for them, some of these terms are a little over our head. But over our head simply means I don't know about it yet. I don't have the understanding to process what that word implies. I don't have a picture for it. Nobody's ever talked to me about this. I've only heard this from my woo-woo spiritual cousin. You know, I've heard this. I saw it in an article the other day on Popular Mechanics, and they were talking about consciousness. And it was like, what is this? Everybody's talking about this buzzword now. But there's a reason that this is finding a buzzword, a hashtag, people, you know, putting whatever their knowledge is out concerning consciousness.
Sure.
Quantum physics is all about the realm of consciousness. If you want to have any sense of control over your mental process, you need to understand consciousness. You know, so if these words are escaping you and you find that when people start using them, you check out, check back in.
Yeah.
Just check in. If you don't understand it, you don't have to. You don't have to check out right now. You just had to go, I don't really know what they said right there. Maybe I should look it up. Maybe I should watch a video. Maybe I should just do nothing and let myself be uncomfortable.
Till it relates to me, because these are things that don't really have a very singular, linear definition. Right.
Because they paint there's a whole realm of understanding about it. There's not just like it's a cup, because when I look it up in the dictionary, it says a container with the ability to be full. You know, like that's a cup, usually used for drinking purposes. When you look at the definition of consciousness itself, it's implied by qualities. It's implied by relationships. So you can link mind to consciousness. But consciousness also implies energy field. It implies universal constructs.
Body.
It implies relationship between molecules. It implies energy informing structures. Like these are all things that if nothing I said had any meaning to you, that's okay.
That's fine.
That's totally fine. But you need to know this if you want to progress in this expanded era that we're living in, where things are rapidly moving.
You have to.
You have to do it, or you're going to get left behind.
And speaking as someone that lives in the mental space of essentially an amateur mathematician, so everything I want facts, figures, I want numbers because I want predictability and control. Right. This was a very hard thing for me, right? Yes. So here's a little tip. Just throw yourself in the direction. Don't try and form a conclusion. Just take yourself in the evidence, in the direction
That's right.
of what's being told.
Yes.
Because you're not going to find a conclusion. The greatest minds in the world are trying to figure out how energy stores information. Yeah. So, they just recently, it was a couple of years ago, they figured out that like one molecule has over like a trillion terabytes of information in it. It could have. They separated two molecules, put them on separate sides of the earth. They perturbed one, the other one shook and was perturbed. They heated one and the other one was perturbed. So you're not going to figure it out. You're not going to conclusion, but just say, oh, that study happened. So there is nothing. So what we call nothing is actually something, and there's some form of communication. That's my direction.
Actually, no nothing.
We know that now. The antimatter.
There's no nothing. There's just something. And we're like, well, what is in that space? Well, maybe we can't quantify it or classify it because our instruments don't measure it, but we are, and some of we can now with the different calibrated measurement or the metrics that we have are okay.
Mm-hmm. They're starting to acknowledge it. But what's most fascinating, and it brings me a lot of satisfaction personally, is that if you actually read spiritual ancient knowledge. And I don't necessarily imply religious knowledge, but it is in religious text. There are already answers. I know.
And we're kind of coming into that emergence between, we think that science and spirituality are somehow different, and they're not. They're just different edges of the same plane.
We can't forget. So right now we live in a science-based world, right?
Yeah, reductionist.
But 10,000 years ago, they did not. They lived in a spiritual-based world, so they were more open to it. So now we ask questions like, how did the Mayans know how to put a calendar together? It's like, you don't know. They might have just been so open. That might have been their science that they relayed. So they were able to gather that information much better and easier. Therefore, they had some advanced information. It's possible that's what happened.
That's right.
So I would say shake it off, because it's not going to work if you keep fighting it. I have that problem.
No, nothing works if we keep fighting it. And I would dare to say that if you do feel resistant towards an area, or maybe your internal bias has you just judging the shit out of it, like, God, it's ridiculous sounding, and I would say that's the area you need to lean into.
Yeah.
100%.
Because maybe meditate.
Yeah. If you have all this, I need to meditate. I've been saying this for a decade now, and my therapist has told me, and my wife has told me, and even my kids are telling me now. It's like, you should probably sit down. And it's important to understand that meditation isn't a one-size-fits-all as well, right? It took me 7 months to do that thing that Joe Dispenza was talking about.
To just let it pass.
To learn to meditate for 5 minutes.
Joe Dispenza, by the way, very cool. I just recently found out, like, I know I'm hopping into, like, Michael Jordan, pretty good basketball player.
So, yeah. He kind of does this, this meditation thing. He's okay on it.
He throws the ball through a hoop.
He wrote a book. That guy. He had a show,
Yeah, I caught on a little late. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But he's got, like, little good clips where, like, it has things make sense really well. So
you should actually watch the show Rewired.
rewired.
Yeah, it's a show. It's on Gaia. It's Joe Dispenza's explanation of actually a lot of the neuroscience that we're talking about, not just concerning meditation, but concerning reality, how our words create reality, how the mind and the brain are actually working together to change your field of attraction, all these different words that we're talking about, but he actually gives the science behind it.